And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Sports Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Thursday, March 27th. We have a lot to cover on the show today. Before I get into all that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate, get your comments recognized. Make sure to hit that super chat button in the chat if you want to see me acknowledge any thought or comment you may have throughout the live broadcast. It makes the show more lively, more entertaining between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate you guys' viewership each and every day, so any contribution you can make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. And also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, GSMCPodcast.net. That is GSMCPodcast.net. So let's get into what we are going to discuss for today. So we're going to start off the show. We're going to talk about LeBron James. So once again, had another buzzer beater to add to his career as the Lakers win 120-119 over the Pacers last night. But we will also talk about the exclusive interview that he had on the Pat McAfee show. Now, it did also simulcast on ESPN. So, depending on if you watched it on Pat McAfee's channel or ESPN's channel, you may or may not have experienced some audio issues. Now, we'll get into that as well. Then in the second part of the show, we will talk about the Sweet 16 games for tonight. There's 4 games. We'll talk about them. I'll give you my picks, update you guys on the bracket, how it's looking, my bracket. So that'll be the second part of the show. Third part of the show, we'll get into some baseball. I will give you my predictions for the divisions in the National League and also give you my 3 wildcard teams as well. And then in the fourth part of the show, we will take a look at the matchups for today in Major League Baseball, the pitching matchups, who I think will win each game, give you a rough prediction. And then in the final part of the show, I will break down the Ravens season, 2024 season overview, how their season went and what they've done in the offseason and what maybe they could potentially do with their first round selection. So that's the rundown for the show today. Let's get into the first topic, though, which is talking about LeBron James. So, yes, the Lakers been kind of scuffling a little bit since LeBron has come back. But you already saw the image. But he did hit a buzzer beater last night. Luka Doncic took the last shot. It was off, but LeBron was right there for the rebound and the quick putback. And the Lakers were able to get the win 120-119 against the Pacers, who are a solid team. And this extended his 18-year streak of scoring double-digit points in every game since January 5th of 2007. His streak remains the longest in NBA history, with Michael Jordan's second at 866 games. Because, yes, LeBron did not have a great shooting night last night. He entered the fourth quarter with only 3 points, and he was 0 for 6 from the field. And I believe he ended up finishing with 13 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists, so he still got a double-double. The Lakers, he scored on 4 straight possessions to reach 11 points, securing his streak. Lakers led by 13, but the Pacers came back and went on a 13-0 run. And they took the lead before LeBron had the game-winning tip-in. Now, like I said, the Lakers have been struggling. That snapped a 3-game winning streak, so it was huge to pick up a win, especially against a playoff team like the Pacers. Now, obviously, they're not going to go up against them unless they play against them in the finals, but still, it's a good team that they went up against on the road, and they were able to squeak by. But yeah, they were losing against the Bulls. I mean, they got blown out against the Bulls. They lose to the Magic, who've been disappointing this year. But yeah, they were able to pick up the win. And there's 10 games left in the regular season for the Lakers. So right now they're 44-28. They're currently the 4 seed, and they're tied with the Grizzlies. So anything can happen within these next 10 games. But they still have a chance to catch up to the Nuggets, and, they still have a chance to catch up to the Rockets and try to, get back the 2 seed, because they did have that before LeBron went down. And I've gone over their schedule several times, but they do play the Bulls again, so maybe they could pick up a win there. And then they do go up against, some playoff teams down the stretch here. So, we'll see what they're made of during this stretch. Luka had a big game last night, 34 points. He continues to play well. Actually, for both teams, all five starters for both teams scored in the double digits. The leading scorer, of course, was Luka Doncic. Then you had Austin Reeves, went 1 for 8 from 3, but he had 24 points. Jackson Hayes had 13 points. He went 6 of 6 from the field. Rui Hachimura had 14 points. They got 11 points from Finney Smith off the bench. And then looking at the Pacers, actually the Lakers shot 17 to 38 from 3, which is not good. And then for the Pacers, they had three players with 16 points. Halliburton, Nembhard, Miles Turner, and then Nesmith had 13. Pascal Siakam had 15. And the Pacers, they dropped to 42 and 30. But I do want to get into the Pat McAfee interview. So I did bring up the audio issues. That was depending on what YouTube channel you were listening or watching it on, because on ESPN's YouTube channel, the audio was constantly cutting out. Now that's because LeBron James was just letting it rip, and he was using some words that I can't use on the show. So you kind of understand that. So, but if you go to the Pat McAfee channel and you watch it on YouTube, it's unfiltered. So that's why there was audio issues, because there was so many comments saying, why does the audio keep cutting out? Well, that's because he was swearing. So, but as for the interview, they talked about a lot. Talked about LeBron first coming into the league, and they did bring up the cookie incident. And we talked about this in our production meeting. Now, I wasn't aware of this incident until it was brought up to me and the other hosts in the production meeting. I mean, they might have knew about it, but I didn't know about this with Pat Riley, and how, on the flights, during LeBron's time with the Heat, you'd have the people make chocolate chip cookies for LeBron. And then eventually that stopped. And supposedly that kind of led to the falling out between Pat Riley and LeBron, or one of the reasons why that led to the falling out between those two guys. And then LeBron ended up leaving and going back to Cleveland. So that was talked about. He talked about, Dwayne Wade leaving as well. Also, they did bring up Michael Jordan as well. And LeBron talked about how their relationship is fine. There's no issues. He said that, they don't really talk because right now LeBron's still playing. And he hopes that once he retires that, they can have an even better relationship. And he talked about, his relationship with Kobe, and, how it was always, competitive when they were playing, and how Kobe was very welcoming when LeBron came to LA and said, he would help him out, if he needed anything during his time there. But yeah, so there was that. But the main thing I did want to talk about is the ongoing beef between him and Stephen A. Smith. Now, this is just, my opinion. Now, LeBron said on the subject that, he doesn't care if you're just talking about, if you're an analyst, if your job is to, critique what players do on the court, their performances, he doesn't care about that. What he cares about is if it gets personal, when you start talking about family. Now, I've had this conversation with my friends. It is their job. So I can't tell you specifically what Stephen A. Smith said about, now, we're talking about now his son, Bronny James. I can't tell you what specifically Stephen A. Smith said that ticked LeBron off, that led to the altercation when Stephen A. was at Crypto.com Arena and LeBron approached him, and you saw the video that came out. I don't know what exactly Stephen A. Smith said on television that led to LeBron going over and talking to him. But he said something that LeBron didn't like. And, I remember Stephen A. commented on it and said that, that was a father that was talking to him. So Stephen A., whatever he said, LeBron didn't like. But if Stephen A was strictly just talking about Bronny's level of play, and that's what ticked LeBron off, well, that's his job. And, you kind of put yourself in a tough spot because, yeah, this just so happens that, you got a player that's LeBron's son that is now playing in the league, and there are times where you have to talk about him. Now, Bronny actually had a performance the other night in the G League where he put up 39 points. So maybe he could turn himself into a good NBA player if he's showing improvement. And they also brought up the when Bronny suffered the cardiac arrest, which, and LeBron talked about how it was I think he said it was a birth defect, and that was kind of the cause of why that happened. So Bronny's been through a lot. He could have lost his life, and we should be happy that he's out there and he's playing basketball now. Obviously, people have strong opinions on him being in the NBA, and LeBron is a direct cause of that. But yeah, you got to remember that happened too, and we got to sit back and just say, hey, look, at least he's out there and he's healthy, because it could have been really bad. But yeah, so LeBron was talking about the Stephen A. Smith stuff and just how don't get personal. And he just said, and he kind of mocked Stephen A., saying, Stephen A.'s probably watching, can't wait to talk about this, and how LeBron's talking about him, and he was just making fun of him and all that. And Stephen A. Smith has responded to it and says LeBron is full of it. But Stephen A. also did say that if LeBron put his hands on him during that little that talk, that he would have swung at him. And then this led to LeBron posting on social media the video of Stephen A. Smith sparring, practicing his boxing. So that was a little petty, but again, that's just coming from me. So this is going back and forth. And the fact that LeBron was saying all of this on Stephen A.'s network is like a mic drop moment. So this is nowhere near towards the end here. This is going to continue, and a lot of people are interested in it. So that was interesting. But I do want to give Pat McAfee props because a lot of people are saying how LeBron he doesn't agree to stuff like this, right? He doesn't agree to stuff like this, and the fact that he went on it just shows you how far along Pat McAfee has come as as a broadcaster, as a host of a show, of a major network. Well, I shouldn't say that because ESPN brought his show on, but still, just being a host of that kind of show and how it's built up, and when you get guys like that, that shows that they're comfortable to go on your show. So hopefully I get to that point one day, but I wanted to bring that up as well. But yeah, it's very interesting. LeBron was on for an hour. But yeah, it was unfiltered. I mean, he was swearing, but look, that's what Pat McAfee's show is. When it's not on ESPN. So, let me know what you guys think though about what LeBron said. The feud between him and Stephen A. It's very interesting, and like I said, it's gonna continue to go back and forth. So we're gonna take our first break of the show now. And then when we come back, we will talk about the Sweet 16 for tonight. I will give you my predictions, and I will update you guys on how the bracket is looking currently. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.